Hi, everyone. This is James and Khaled, and I'm telling you, we spoke with our friend Isaac before the holidays, and we were saying, oh, this team is going to go to the Super Bowl. This team's going to do. And boy, Khaled, I think we were either half all wrong or half all right. Just crazy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It was an incredible slate of games last week. I was just thinking, I think it was like halfway through Saturday when I was watching some college football, and I was like, this is probably the best sports weekend of the year. And
Yeah.
it's like a 4 day weekend because we got all the Thursday games, we got the Black Friday game, we had college football, we had NBA, we had F1, crazy race. So, and of course, all the Sunday games. So it was just an incredible weekend to be a sports fan. So great times.
Yeah, now let's get right into it. Boy, the Bears, Florence's brothers love the Bears, longtime fans, and I'm telling you, they are the hooting and hollering. Are they talking craziness, smack, or they have something legitimate to talk about? Because a
Yeah.
lot of them say right now they're the best team in the NFL. I just had a thing on Twitter where they had did a poll, and the Bears fans, of course, biased, but it was like 83% had them as the best team in the NFL. What's your vibe on the Bears?
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh. I have a lot of Bears fans in my life. All my in-laws are Bears fans, so the family group chat has been very popular,
Very
very
tough.
busy. I'm not a Bears hater. I like to tease them and I like to pretend I'm a Bears hater, especially since the Khalil Mack trade. So I troll a lot in the family thread only. But this team is legitimate. They had a real like prove it type game in Philadelphia where they won ugly. They ran for, I think, 250 yards on the ground. They absolutely bullied a bully, which was really impressive to see. That being said, I mean, they are the one seed by conference win percentage, so very close to the Rams are right there. They have a very tough schedule coming up. They get Green Bay twice in the next 3 weeks. They have Cleveland, who I know is, they're not a great team, but that defense and Miles Garrett is serious. So things could get ugly there. And then, of course, they wrap up with San Francisco and a date with Detroit. So the next 5 weeks are going to tell us a lot about this team. I'll say the next 3 weeks are going to tell us a lot about this team. If they can go 2-1 in this next stretch, get 11 wins on the season, then they're almost guaranteed a playoff spot. But I think their hold on that one seed is pretty tenuous considering how tough these games are coming up.
Yeah, I like Caleb Williams. I think Caleb is good. I'm an OU fan, and I loved him at OU for the 1 year he was there. But let's slow down a little bit. Someone was telling
Just a
me
tad, yeah.
he's MVP. I mean, he was not that good against the Eagles. He threw, God, he was 17 for 36 for 154 yards and one touchdown and one uh, uh, interception. So I mean, it was to me, it just was. Their offensive line is the best in the NFL right now. They
I
are
think I think you're
just. I
right.
mean, the Eagles just were obliterated. I mean, every run the Bears just went right through them. I mean, it was. I've never seen the Bears play that physical and that good in a long time. And their defense is really doing well. So
Yeah.
I think the Bears, if uh, Caleb can just chill out, do his thing, not make a lot of mistakes. I think the Bears will be okay. I still think they're a year away from being really good, but I'm telling you, that offensive line, keep those guys together. They are really good. They are,
Yeah.
boy,
That's
they're
the heart of
lights
the
out.
team right there. I don't know what the stats are. I'm sure someone can look it up, but if you rush for over 200 yards, pretty good chance that you've won the game and won the game comfortably. So if they keep doing that, then I think they have a good chance of winning the North.
Is Taylor Swift going to break up with Travis Kelsey now that they're 6-6?
She might be happy. He's going to have January off.
She
He's not
doesn't
going to
like
be.
losers, Colette.
Yeah,
She doesn't like losers. She likes winners.
but
So
he's not going to be working in February. He'll have some time. I don't know when their
maybe.
anniversary is, but he's going to have some free time on his hands. I think we said a couple weeks ago that they were in trouble. They may have like saved their season temporarily with that win against Indianapolis, which was a very dramatic win in overtime, I believe. And then it kind of came crashing down to earth in the most watched NFL regular season game ever. great game, by the way, against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Very smart of the NFL to put
Yep.
those two teams in prime time on Thanksgiving. But they have a lot of offensive line injuries, and they're facing two of the best pass rushes in the NFL the next 2 weeks. So it might get spooky when they play Houston, which is the number one defense, and they play the Chargers the week after. I know both those games are in Kansas City, so that might slow down the pass rush a tad. But if you're not able to protect Mahomes, I think it might get spooky over the next 2 weeks. I'll say that.
Yeah, there are already rumors about Mahomes leaving Kansas City in a year, and I don't know if that'll ever happen. He's so established there with businesses and with house, two big homes. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but they are in trouble. I don't think they're a playoff team. What about the Bills? There's been a lot of negativity about the Bills, especially with their defense. What do you think's going to happen with those guys?
That was another statement win. I mean, we talked about statement wins for the Bears, but they went into Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh is not, the same bully that they have been in the past, but that was a big win for them. Especially they were down at half. It looked like it was going to get ugly, and their defense was the one that was the side of the ball that made the difference with that strip sack on Rodgers that swung the game. And just like the Bears, they were able to run the ball on
Yep.
Pittsburgh, and they really made it count. They beat the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. He looked like the guy from Home Alone by the end of the game. And this game, it's not this week; it's the following week against the Patriots. But that is going to decide the division. So they're still in it for the division. They're barely hanging on to a wild card spot. I think they're the seventh seed right now at 8-4. But you got to think like pedigree is going to win out over a team like Houston or Pittsburgh, which is like they're kind of still hanging around there. But if the Bills can make a little bit of a gap here, and then of course win that game against the Patriots, which is no small task, then I think they're safe. But we've said I think the whole year is like we're betting on Josh Allen basically at this point, and
Yeah.
we're just hoping that he's the one that's going to come through, and he usually does to his credit. So. And he just became the all-time leading touchdown rusher, I guess is how you want to phrase
Yeah.
it, for quarterbacks, which is quite the achievement. I don't even think he's 30 years old yet. So that record is going to be far out of reach for a lot of guys by the time he's done playing. So congrats to him.
With the Eagles floundering a little bit, Cowboys Chiefs game was a big game, and the Cowboys came through with the great defense. They were very solid, very physical, and I really liked their post Micah Parsons kind of. This was the game they were all calling to. We're going to show you we have a good defense and we're
Yeah.
better than you guys think we have, and they showed it. Dallas was usually one of those that will flail and fold. Dak will throw his interceptions and things will happen, but that didn't happen. They stood strong and beat the Chiefs.
That offense is incredible. I mean, it's been incredible all year long, but like you're really seeing how dangerous this wide receiver group is with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Like, how many teams in the NFL have two legitimate wide receiver ones? Probably like three. You want to say like
Yeah.
Not Kansas City, Cincinnati, maybe yeah, Philly. You throw them in there too, but these guys are just dynamite. The run game is good enough. Dak has been great. And the defense has been much improved. I mean, talk about swing for the fences. We thought, or at least I thought, they were kind of, I don't want to say tanking, but just kind of accepting their fate with the Micah Parsons thing. But like you said a few times, Jerry Jones is not the type to take this stuff laying down. And he
Yeah.
went out, made some big trades, got Quinnen Williams, got Logan Wilson. They got a couple guys healthy as well. So all of a sudden, this defense is like just good enough to keep them in games. And the fact that, I mean, their schedule, if they beat Detroit tomorrow night, we're looking at Minnesota, Cupcake, the Chargers. That's a tough one, but it's, a home game. And then they go to Washington and the Giants, two teams that by then will definitely be ready. I know they'll want to play spoiler against the Cowboys, but I think they'll be ready for the offseason by that point.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much.
yeah, we're looking at potentially a 4-1 stretch here. And then, maybe 10 wins isn't quite enough to get into the playoffs in the NFC, but we've seen things like this happen and they could sneak in as the 7th seed.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they are going to make the playoffs. The team that was our darling for 2 or 3 weeks ago, The Indy Colts, boy, they ran into another buzzsaw and they lost again. As I said before, to beat the Colts, stop the run and make Daniel Jones beat you. That's what you have to do. And they've been doing that. And boy, they look like a different team. What do
I
you
feel
think
bad for
about
them.
the Colts? Yeah, I like the Colts. I wanted them to go to the Super Bowl. They have a good vibe on their team. But like I said, Daniel Jones just doesn't. Eesh, I
He's a
just still
warrior.
I can't trust him.
Yeah, you can't. But I feel bad for them. I mean,
Running, he's great,
yeah. But
but
did you see the
passing is where you
video?
worry.
Did you see the video of him trying to like take a drop back a couple of days ago, or a few days before the game, where he was, he's playing with a fractured fibula, which is insane. I don't know how he's doing that.
Yeah,
I don't know how he's still out there running around, much less walking around. So credit to him. He's a warrior. He's a fighter. Uh, the thing is with them, they also lost Sauce Gardner. I mean, it's
yep.
lucky. I think a lot of people, myself included, thought it was an Achilles. So it's not an Achilles, it's just a calf strain. But we've seen a couple times those calf strains can lead to Achilles tears if you come back too soon. So he's probably out for the next few weeks. The only good thing for them is that they still have their destiny in their hands, right? They're 8-4. So is Jacksonville, which is insane. They're probably like the
Yeah.
most bipolar, like division leading team in the NFL.
Ugh.
But they play Jacksonville twice and they play Houston once. So that's 3 divisional games in the last 5 weeks. Um, I don't want to like get too doomsday here, but I feel like they're turning into a pumpkin, and it's not their fault. It's not
Mm-mm.
like they just started playing bad all of a sudden. They're just the injury bug hit them. They lost Forrest Buckner, which is like an underrated thing. He's an All-Pro defensive lineman. He's not. It's not going to get headlines, but losing him for the season is huge.
He's
Of
a
course,
leader
losing
too. And the 49ers,
absolutely
when he left San Francisco, that hurt them, his leadership. So,
in a big way.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. I think with the Colts, this is a. We were laughing, and Isaac was kind of laughing at me a little bit, but a few weeks ago. But this is why you kind of wait for the whole season. There's going
hundred
to be
percent,
teams that look unbeatable. And then in 3 weeks, you're wondering how they're going to make the playoffs, and that's the thing about the NFL is you can't
such
be
a long
manic.
season. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a long season. You could get an injury. What if, Josh Allen goes down? What if Mahomes goes down? I mean, now you have under 500 teams. So I mean, there's a whole lot of things that could happen. Or what if they're struggling and that's what I think that people don't realize. This is a marathon. This is not, but everybody's so manic and wanting to get this done now, uh, and I just hate it. Uh, Everyone was expecting the Rams to make a big statement against the Panthers, and I tell everybody there's two teams I do not bet on in the NFL, and it's the Panthers and Jacksonville
yeah.
because they could lose by 4 touchdowns one week and beat the best team in the NFL the next. They are man. Oh, I hate. I never bet on those two teams. But what's your vibe? What's your feeling on the Rams and the Panthers?
If you watch the Panthers 2 weeks ago against San Francisco, you're like, Bryce Young is not an NFL quarterback. It was
Yeah.
that simple. He looked horrible. And then he comes out, 6 days later against one of the best defenses in the NFL, who many people, myself included, picked up in fantasy as a streamer, which is a good lesson
Oh.
for me. It's a reminder, do not pick up streamer defenses that are playing on the road. It's like one of my core tenets. I broke that rule myself because weird stuff happens on the road.
Yeah.
And this guy, he looks like a Heisman winner. He looks like an All Pro. I mean, they had and their defense obviously made some big plays as well. But the Panthers they're just this ridiculously up and down team. We could see them lose out the rest of the year, or they could challenge Tampa for the NFC South. So none of that would surprise me. When it comes to the Rams, I still believe in this team. I think they still have that pass rush. I think they still have weapons all over the field. Matt Stafford's still playing at an MVP level. Made a few mistakes against the Panthers, but I wouldn't call it like a trap game, but it almost felt like that because I know Carolina's still a good team, so it's not a team that you overlook. But maybe they were overlooked a little bit. Maybe the Rams saw that tape against the Niners and like, oh, we can handle these guys. But they're another team that still has their destiny in their hands, and they should make the playoffs. They have a pretty easy schedule. They get Arizona twice. Seattle's the only tough game in the
Yeah.
division. And of course, they play Detroit, which should be a fun one. With Matt Stafford and his old team. But three out of the 5 games left should be cupcake wins, and you're looking at 12 wins on the season, and that's pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot.
The Seattle Seahawks fans were a little bit jumpy the last month. They've been a little bit frustrated with some of the things that have been going on. Do you think they have a chance to make a run in the playoffs?
They do. They are. It's they're kind of a mirror image of Indianapolis, where you're looking at the team and you're like, okay, this is a stacked team from top to bottom, but there's a big red flashing question mark over the quarterback position, and it's the exact same thing. I mean, they could not have lost to Minnesota if they tried because of how bad that poor undrafted rookie quarterback was. Shout out to him for taking those hits and keep on
Oh
plugging. But
boy.
it was basically Sam Darnold was a passenger at that point, and he did not look good. I thought Minnesota would have his number defensively. I think Brian Flores probably knows him better than anybody, considering he was in the building last year with them, and he probably knows better than most how to stop him. So I did not expect Darnold to have a great game against that team, and he didn't. He looked horrendous.
Yeah.
So that's just always going to be the question. I mean, he has to play out of his mind, lights out for a couple years, I think, before people can really like push out the memory of Jets Sam Darnold and then the way his tenure ended in Minnesota, which they lost against. I think they were favored against the Rams, and it's just like he's an easy guy to figure out. If you can pressure him, he's going to make mistakes. Some
Yeah.
guys you can pressure, they'll still protect the ball, they'll be smart, they'll let their defense win the game. With Darnold, it's that old like seeing ghosts meme where he said that he got caught on a hot mic saying that, and it's just like if you can get this guy to see ghosts, then it's yeah, it gets scary out there for Seattle. So I know they might feel confident with their defense and their run game and all that, but in the back of their minds, they're just like, ugh, I hope we get the right Sam Darnold tonight.
Yeah, I'm not a Sam Darnold fan. I think he really was gutsy in what he did last year, but that's another guy. I don't see Sam Darnold hoisting up Lombardi trophies. I just don't. But like I said, I could be a little bit hard on quarterbacks, but also I wanted to talk to you. This was viral for a couple days. We're both college football fans. We love football. What was your thoughts on Lane Kiffin and all the drama with because he did coach for the Raiders.
Sure did.
I still remember Al Davis's overhead projector that
Never
I
forget
was
that.
just it went viral. People were losing their minds over that. It was so amazing. Only Al Davis can get away with that. But
Yeah.
what's your feeling on the whole scene in the college football game and Lane Kiffin?
It's so dramatic. It is the biggest soap opera in sports. I know NBA fans like to talk about their league being the most dramatic, but I don't think anything compares to college football in this NIL era with the amount of money
Ugh.
that's being thrown around. And the thing is with Lane Kiffin, he's a brilliant coach. But I think with a few exceptions, I think Al Davis is a tremendous judge of character, or was. May you rest in peace. And I think he had the right bead on Lane Kiffin as just not a reliable guy. I don't fault him for taking the LSU job versus Ole
Mm-mm.
Miss. I mean, LSU is I don't think they use the term blue bloods in college football, but that is a blue blood national title winning program. Like the only coach in recent history that didn't win a title there was Brian Kelly, and he's out on his butt somewhere on the unemployment line. So I don't fault him for taking the job. I think I fault the college football system for making him choose between a college football playoff run and taking this job because of the calendar and the recruiting and all that stuff. So he got backed into a corner. And I also don't fault Ole Miss for telling him, hey, man, you can't be here for another month, basically 1 foot out the door. And you're trying to recruit our assistant coaches and staff and stuff like that. So it was messy and it was entertaining. It was a soap opera. I understand why Ole Miss fans are upset, but I also understand why he took the job, even if it felt a little slimy, which I think is kind of his MO, right? Like that's just
Well,
kind of
remember
what he
when he
does.
left Tennessee? I bleed orange and white, and I'm a Vol, and all. I dreamed of this
He
job,
bleeds
and he
green,
left
just
the
like
next
yeah,
year,
yeah.
and then he went to the Raiders. My dream is to coach the Raiders. Then he got fired, and because Al Davis just said Al Davis literally in the press conference said, "This is a con man. He conned
Mm,
me, and he conned you." And I'm telling you, like you said, Al Davis tells it like it is. The problem I have with this whole NIL, it didn't make much news, but did you know that they've now cleared NIL for high school players? So
yeah.
you have high school players driving in Rolls Royces.
There's
That
a
I
kid,
mean that
yeah. There's
that's
a kid out
insane.
here in Sacramento, I believe in Folsom or Roseville, one of those towns
Oh
up there in
yeah.
Placer County. He's got a national Under Armour campaign. So I mean, it's one of those things where I'm always happy for these kids
Oh
to make
yeah.
money while they can,
I take the money.
especially
Yeah.
yeah. It's going to create some interesting situations. I'm sure it already has with players probably making the wrong decisions when it comes to picking teams, or guys from like smaller schools jumping to bigger schools just for the NIL money. Again, I don't fault any of them for taking the money when they can, because who knows how long this gravy train is going to last. But I'm sure it's going to make for some awkward conversations
Yeah.
around the country. Not just at the college
Absolutely.
level. Yeah.
I think with Lane Kiffin, I got in a little bit of a fight. Not he was very professional with the SEC writer, and he said, "Well, Ole Miss was all at fault. This is all their fault. Blah blah
Nah.
blah. They should have let him play." But I told him, I said, one, Lane Kiffin should have just said, "I get it. You guys don't want me poaching your players. You guys
Hmm.
don't want me marketing LSU. I get it. I'll let you guys. I love the kids. I'm Ole Miss till I die. You guys do your thing and good luck." That's what a classy person would have did. That's what
100%.
most coaches do. He
Yeah.
said, he told the coaches, he said, if you don't come with me right now and blackball yourselves from Ole Miss, you ain't going to have a job at LSU. Well, you have these assistant coaches that some of them aren't making millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to go with him. That was a low life move, and that betrayed the players. He also said the players were begging him to stay. In the team meeting, the players were posting, we wanted him to leave. It was unanimous. We didn't want him to stay.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Saw
want to
that.
be here anymore. So the problem I have with Lane Kiffin is he's a known liar. And I'm sorry if you love him and all that stuff. He is a liar. He's a slimy guy. I think he's a narcissist. I think he
100%.
loves, yeah, he loves all this social media. Remember him when his daughter was dating, I think, an Alabama player, and oh my gosh, they're fighting on Twitter. And I mean, you're a grown ass man. Jesus. I remember what he did with Al Davis. He was mad because his offense wasn't really catered to the pro game. The wide receivers are getting killed, and so was the quarterbacks. So he went for a 74-yard field
I
goal
was just going
once,
to mention, I was
and the
literally just thinking
announcers were
about
losing their minds. They're going, "What? This
oh,
is an
man.
fu to Al Davis." And that was it. Al Davis just thought, "You little, do you know you're dealing with? I'm Al
That was
Davis."
my
So,
like lasting memory of Lane Kiffin
oh
in Oakland. It was just yeah, everything you said is spot on. He's a narcissist. I think most of these coaches are, which is fine. And I think this is the reality of college football. It always has been, where the coaches are chasing the money. They always, jump to the next available job. A lot of people have a problem now that the players are doing that. I don't have a problem with that. But I just don't like that he tried to sell it as if he was being done wrong by Ole Miss
yeah,
by not
oh
being allowed to coach. It's like if you go to, I mean, I don't like comparing regular jobs to these superstar
oh
NFL
yeah.
head coaching job, whatever it is. But if you go to your job and you tell them, hey, I want to put in my 2 weeks notice, but I want to take on this new project, they're gonna be like, you're out of your mind. There, there's no
I'm gonna
point.
take on this new project, and then I'm gonna try to get connections from
Exactly.
that project because I'm a networker. Every time I see someone, I tell Florence, "That's my marketer. That's a
Yeah,
networker. That's
exactly.
how I think in business." And what was funny is that he also said in the press conference, I couldn't believe it. I don't even know. I haven't even spoke to my agent. I don't even know how much I'm making. Are you kidding me?
Come
That
on,
oh my
man.
God,
Come on.
stop lying.
That's the
Like he's
headline on the contract in bold print.
like he's Gandhi, I'm doing this for the love of the game and the kids. How the kids at Tennessee and Ole Miss do. Now, a lot of you say, well, he should be able to go. Why are people mad?
He
I'm
should.
not mad at him leaving.
No,
It's
not at all.
business.
Yeah.
College football. That's what I was telling people. These guys are coming out as sophomores and juniors all the time. Does anyone think these guys are getting degrees by then? Almost all the players aren't getting degrees. That's if they're going to class. Why would they go to class? Why would a 17-year-old, you think
Just
you
to
got
stay
all the
eligible.
girls you
That's it.
want? Yeah, you got Rolls Royce, you got million in the bank, you're 16, 17, you're making more than your dad made in his whole career, and you're gonna listen to any go to class, do your fractions. I mean, come on. The world's just it's crazy.
Yeah.
And college football sold out. It's sold out, and it's my favorite sport, and I love it so much. And I'm heartbroken and I'm an Oklahoma fan. I don't care if they're in the playoffs or anything. I don't get the same enjoyment. I miss the rivalries.
Yeah.
What
The
in the
traditional ones.
world?
Yeah.
Yeah, what in the world is Los Angeles teams doing playing in the snow? Good Lord, they are not the snow people. I
The
mean,
funniest thing to me, sorry, the funniest thing to me is that the University of California is playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Just
oh
when you say, "Oh, they're in the Cal's in the ACC," yeah, okay, that's fine. And you remember what ACC stands for, and you're like, "Hold on a second, that doesn't sound quite right."
It reminds me of like when baseball, I forget the teams they were talking about when they first started, and teams were in just such crazy areas. Why are they in the West? Why are they in the
Yeah,
East? It's like the EPL when you look at the English Premier League. They are in their areas. They are in certain areas, and that's what they're considered. They're London Derby, and all this other stuff. These guys are in their certain areas, and there's great rivalries. Oh boy, Cal and Pitt are playing this week. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
No one even goes to the games because
Give it
there's
like
no
yeah,
rivalry, no boy, the Wolfpack's here. North Carolina State, you guys. Oh my God.
give it like five
Oh,
years, and I think we're going to be looking at like a 25 team playoff and like two mega conferences where they're just going to split the country down the middle, for travel purposes, and just go, this is NCAA, this is college football playoff West and college football playoff East, and everyone's going to be, they're just going to figure out the schedules as they go along. So it's just, you know, I understand like you're a traditionalist. I think I am too. With the nostalgia factor and the fact that I'm an amateur historian and stuff when it comes to sports. Like I miss the traditional stuff.
oh
I
God,
get
yes.
I get why people are upset about it. To me, it's just like whatever is better for the players. Like if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you're never going to play football ever again. You're sacrificing your body. And it's a full time job for these kids and they're in school full time. Like, not everyone is not going to class because a lot of these guys know I don't have a future in the pros. So the guys that are going to class and getting up at 4 a.m. for workouts and stuff, if this means that they're getting paid for sacrificing their bodies, like I'm willing to sacrifice a couple rivalries along the way. It's not the greatest situation for the fans, but whatever's better for the players.
I think the players have always been kind of screwed, but I think it's all. But look at, I think it was what 5, 6 years ago. The teams couldn't even buy them snacks. They had some kids were stealing food. I think Winston or one of the top players was caught stealing food. They're stealing food. When you have to prove when you're an athlete. I talked to a couple of people. You have to prove that you have health insurance, and they'll pay to a certain amount. So you're seeing athletes have to get GoFundMe. Don't get me started on our healthcare, but
Yeah.
but there's a lot of stuff that. Gosh, if we didn't have, God, they're making 4.5 trillion. And I've been in the medical field forever. 4.5 trillion dollars in 1 year the health insurance companies are making, and then they're saying our costs are so high.
Yeah.
Oh my
Sure.
God, stop lying. But anyway,
Yeah.
I think what
I'm with you,
happens
man. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm our kind anyway. I don't want to get shot. We you know, you the thing with how people were losing their minds over West Virginia Pitt, the backyard brawl. People were Oklahoma, Nebraska in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. There was no better game, and always for national championship or the Big Eight or Big 10, Big 12. Good Lord, Texas A&M the day after Thanksgiving. I mean, it was these amazing games that we can't play anymore because of these stupid conferences. I hated the Oklahoma going to the SEC. I think you're right. It's going to be monopoly like everything else. And don't think for a second the committee and the big boy teams hate Boise State. They hate teams like
Yeah. The group of five
Tulane.
schools. Yeah.
Yep, they want their money. They feel, well, they're not going to bring the fans. They're not going to bring the money and the revenue off of TV or streaming. I'm losing money because these little schools are getting in. I know they earned it, but that's beside the point. And that's the problem that I'm having with this is that the NC2A, I think they're crooked. I think some of them are very
Always.
crooked. I think some have the best interest, but I'm sorry when someone organizes a bowl and he's making 400 grand a year to do it. So I mean, where do you sign up? I mean,
Yeah. Right.
there's just too
Good
much
gig if you can get it.
greed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much greed. But the whole thing with college football, this is why basketball and NBA, I watched an NBA game. I don't think one person was playing defense. It looked like an all-star game. You're getting these young kids that don't know how to play. They're just athletic and they really don't know how to play, and they should spend more time in college. Like Arch Manning. Oh my God, he's the second coming. The guy should stay another year in college and improve on his talent. And I think that's the problem with college sports is that these guys are coming out too early. Look at all the basketball's ridiculous. The first round, almost all of them don't become significant players, not
Yeah.
even
It's
bench
rare. Yeah.
players.
Then
It's
that's
just
where the NIL kind of helps. Like it might convince a guy that's like, a fringe prospect, especially in basketball. If you're like, all right, if you're going to be a second rounder in the NBA, maybe you stick around another year, collect some NIL money, do that. I mean, on the NFL side, it's like there's so many picks that happen that you can probably still get drafted. But if you are like deciding between, if you're a fringe prospect, fringe first, second rounder, you're like, maybe I stay at this big time school where I'm, a big fish in a small pond type thing. So that's one positive of the NIL that I think people don't
yeah.
talk about enough.
I love when and a lot of these kids are poor. A lot of a lot of these kids are poor and they deserve for their talents to be reciprocated through money. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with capitalism. I have problems with greed, and this is the problem. Some
Absolutely.
of these kids get used so much when they can't play anymore. If they get an injury or something happens, they're thrown to the side of the road. And I'm sorry, $1 million is not going to go very long without an education. I'm sorry. Uh, so I think that a
After
lot of the
taxes too,
look,
million
yeah,
dollars after taxes.
look at, and I remember when Antonio Brown got traded to the Raiders, I said this guy is going to end up broke. He's going to be broke, and he filed for bankruptcy this year.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and he made over $100 and some million. So
Do you know what's going
it's
on with
just,
his case? Isn't he didn't he catch an attempted murder charge? Am I
yeah,
misremembering that?
I saw the video. I have no idea what he was thinking. What are you thinking? They're
I mean,
taping
he
you
thought he was getting
shoot
robbed,
some.
and he
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what he said. I mean, it's those kind of guys. Just it's like Darren Waller. Darren Waller wanted to be a rapper. He thought he was Tupac, and now he's he realized I don't have any talent. So I mean, let's go back. I don't know why everyone thought they were going to be rappers, but a good quality player. But it just cracks me up how many players. If I was a team and in the NFL, I know they do classes. I would dredge it in their heads how to do their finances because I think that's why these college kids are getting. They're from poor families. None of them know how to handle their money. Invest it wisely. Do some long-term investments, some annuities, whatever to get these guys to make sure that they've got money when they're older. But they don't. You know, they're all in their bling and
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
that crap, and that stuff goes away very quickly. So it's a crazy time right now in college sports. The
It's
innocence is
sad.
gone.
Very sad.
Yeah, I do like FCS. I do. I'm a big FCS fan, and I do. UC Go Aggies. I like UC Davis. So,
Yeah.
and
They
my
got a
dad's from
playoff
the
game this
Dakotas.
weekend against
Yep,
Rhode Island.
yep,
Yeah.
and North Carolina or North Dakota State. My dad's from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, so I'm always in for the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, multi winner of the national championship. And gosh, the North Dakota State, the Bisons, what a they in the last 50 years they may be the
It's
biggest
high level
dynasty.
football. People
Yeah,
should watch it.
it's very good. The
Yeah.
games are
Absolutely.
great. The
Yeah.
Raiders drafted Montana State quarterback, who was a great quarterback in college. Made it tried to make him into a receiver, but
Yeah,
yeah,
they
there
went
it's
back to back with those. Yeah.
and but look at the but look and let's talk about the Raiders. The thing I told Raider fans, and I just they don't have an identity, and once they left Oakland, when you watch these old tapes, I just watched the old thing that Steve Sable did on the Raiders of the '70s, and they just had this swagger. And I remember when Roger Staubach said, when we walked onto the field, it looked like Paul Bunyan's had come on the field. They were bigger, they were badder, and they were just you. They intimidated you, and they hadn't even gone on the field yet. There's an old story that Ahmad Rashad told about the Raiders. It was right before the Super Bowl. The Vikings were playing cards, and they were
Hmm.
just hanging out and chilling out. Ahmad Rashad said that Jack Tatum walked in and he didn't say anything. He didn't look anybody. He just walked in to the what do they call it? The closet. He walked in a closet. He didn't say anything, and he just sat. He just stood there for like a minute or so, and he walked out, and no one said a word, and no one laughed. No one did anything. And then when they knew he
Hmm.
had completely left, they just started cracking up. And he said, when he left, after a while, I realized, now that's intimidation. I mean, that is just like intimidation. We're
Oh
scared to
yeah.
laugh at the guy. I mean, but he did that purely just to mess with them. And it just cracks me up. Ahmad Rashad said, man, we were so intimidated. He said, we came out, they came off the bus, they were dressed in black, they had leather on, they weren't smiling. And he goes, those were just the cheerleaders. He goes, we hadn't even seen the
Like a
team
biker
yet.
gang.
Yeah. He said it was just a crazy time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the Raiders need a whole, and this is what I wanted to ask you about. Tom Brady is supposedly ticked off at the Raiders leadership because he
Sure.
was the one that wanted the present coaches, and he was mad that Chip Kelly was fired. Now, just
Hmm.
because I've always said, just because you're a great player, Matt Millen, doesn't mean you're going to be great in a leadership role. What do you think about that Brady comment, and what do you think about Brady being in leadership?
The concern is he's not all in, right? I mean, if you're Tom Brady, you've got your own clothing line, you've got the Fox gig, you're traveling around the country, you know, calling games, doing your thing. You're one of the most famous people. You've got like this flag football thing he's starting with Saudi Arabia. I guess the flag football league that he's co-owning or whatever it is. He's got a
Yeah.
million things to do. It's a million things on his plate, and then you're asking him to make like real football decisions for a team that he's at best like part-time involved in. I think that's my concern. um, and we've seen it a million times. All-time great players don't make all-time great executives, or GMs or whatever. So it's not a surprise that he might be floundering a bit. I think Chip Kelly was a scapegoat there was a lot of reports after the fact that he wasn't able to run his own offense. Um, people, I forget, I think it was Ian Rappaport had a report that people were basically looking at old Seattle tapes to basically scout the Raiders offense. And obviously Chip Kelly was not the offense coordinator in Seattle. So I don't know why, it shouldn't be the case, but it seemed like he was coaching with one hand behind his back. And just the fact that the offensive line is so bad that it's just like the easy thing to do is, you can't fire five guys that are on the offensive line. So you're just going to fire the offense coordinator. And it's not like it wasn't without cause. They had one of the worst offenses in the league. Uh, but yeah, it's just, he was a scapegoat. And it just, like you said today, you said a million times before, the Raiders just don't have an identity. And until they get a real coach, not a retread, not a washout, not, you know, I love Pete Carroll, but it seems like his best days are behind him. Even his last few years in Seattle, they weren't great. We just need a Ben Johnson type. We need a Dan Campbell type. We need a Mike Vrabel type, a young, energetic, vibrant head coach that's going to really reset these things. I know Pete Carroll is vibrant, energetic, and stuff, but he's 75 years old.
Yeah.
It's like he's not going to do anything new. He's stuck in his ways, as he should be. He's been successful in the league, but they really need someone that's going to restructure things from the top down. And Tom Brady, I don't know if he's that guy. He's still the GOAT, but if he's only here part time, it's like, how much good can you do? You're not going to be burning the midnight oil in Las Vegas, scouting players and doing things like that. So that's always been my gripe, but I just kind of hoped for the best. That just
I
hasn't
think
worked out.
I think this week I'm going to look up into some people that would coach the Raiders or leadership, because I like youth and pretty much anything. I do love experience, but I love the energy of youth. And
Yeah.
to me, I think they need to, if they get the right guy, they need to leave him alone for 3 years, let him do his thing. And you need to draft properly. Stop drafting average players and trying to convince everybody for years they're going to be good.
Yeah.
Tyree Wilson, I mean, is not going to be a star. I mean, these guys, and when you get first round picks, second round picks, third round picks, they have to hit. They have to, the first rounders have to be good players. They may not have to be pro bowlers, but they need to be good. The
They need to be
second and
starters.
thirds,
Simple as
eventually they
that.
need to start,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with the Raiders is that, and they always outthink themselves. I don't believe in drafting. If you're a bad team, you don't draft for need, you draft for talent. You draft back. You trade back and draft for talent. If you're a good team and you need one or two players, then you trade up. That's how I kind of think. But I think that I don't like the class coming out for quarterbacks next year. I do love the edge rushers. Oof, they got some
Yeah.
edge rushers, and I really like them. And there's some good linemen as well. So if the Raiders, I think the two things I have to have is I have to have either a quarterback or a defensive line, because a defensive line can cover over a lot of stink.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you stop the run or you could rush the passer with only four guys, you've got defense halfway, fixed, and halfway you've got it good, because you could have average defensive backs, but if you have average DL and good defensive backs, they're toast with the new rules, because you can't guard these
Absolutely.
guys
Yeah.
for that long. So I would love to see Max Crosby get a partner on the right side. Next week, I think we want to talk a little bit more about the draft and see about some of the players that are coming out. But I'm telling you,
Awesome.
I don't have any faith in Tom Brady for this. He may be good. Ozzie Newsome, I mean, he was an icon player and an icon GM, one of the best. Those guys drafted awesome. I mean, the Ravens were just every year, just really,
Every year they get steals
God, they had
every
good
year.
drafts. And
Yeah.
it wasn't superstars all the time, but they were just solid, good Ravens type physical players. And I think that's the thing that I love
And they're
about it.
always drafting in the late 20s. That's the other thing. It's not like they're
Yeah.
drafting top 5, top 10. Like I think they have one top 10 pick in the last like 20 years, and they just make it work.
Yep. Look at the 49ers. Everybody says they're always drafting DLs. Well, yeah, because
For a
those are
reason.
the keys to your defense. I mean, and look, the DLs, they're so smart. They'll draft a guy after 4 or 5 years. The guy's a star. You keep one or two of them, and the rest you got to get rid of. You trade or you let go because you can't afford everyone, but you get another one, you draft another one, and if you know how to draft, you could get away with with stuff like that. And I
Absolutely.
think that's the thing. Drafting is a lost art. The NFL has this cookie cutter of all positions, and if you don't meet that cookie cutter, scenario, then they don't like you, and I think that that's ridiculous. But uh, boy, it's going to be a fun year. I think that for the playoffs, I don't think any team is better than anyone else. I think anyone could beat anyone at any time. Do you like it better that way, or do you like it with two or three teams that are just real studly and everybody just kind of trying to catch up?
I kind of like the Studley approach of like I want like a big bad guy that everyone is gunning for, and then the fact that and then if they get upset, it's even better, right? If they get if the team is 15-2 or whatever, and they end up losing in the playoffs, it just becomes like a great story. This year, it's just so hectic, right? You can look at both conferences and you can pick. There's 7 playoff spots, and you can pick 10 teams in each conference that might be there. So it's a little more I don't it's not really more exciting because you just don't know what to expect week to week, and it's just so chaotic and everything like that. Like there's no clear like pecking order. Maybe in the next couple weeks we'll have a better idea of things as like teams get filtered out. But I prefer like give me two powerhouses in each conference and we root for
Mm,
them to meet
that's
in the
what I
conference
like.
championship. And if they falter along the way, then it's even more exciting because it's a big upset. But if you're telling me like, all right, the Patriots are the 1 seed and they lose in the second round after getting a bye, you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. Or the Broncos or Jaguars or whoever gets the 1 seed, and then in the NFC, it's like Chicago. I mean, they're not the most inspiring 1 seed, especially like the way they won a lot of these games. They've won all these one-score games, so it's like it's not surprising if anyone loses at this point. You could just pick a name out of a hat, and you probably have a better odds of picking a Super Bowl champ that way than you would,
Oh
trying to be
yeah.
scientific about it.
Now, a year ago, I got asked this question, and I just got asked this a couple hours ago, and I'm going to ask you. We're going to switch it up to the NBA.
Yeah.
Uh, Someone asked me, did the Pelicans finally get rid of Zion Williamson? And I said yes. The guy is what a bust. He's
3 years
ruined
too
that
late.
team.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know where I think he's going to end up? Lakers. I think he's
Oh,
going to end up the Lakers. I think LeBron's going to play dad, and he's just going to, because he does have talent, but that guy is an irresponsible. I don't trust guys that have a big amount of, I forget what they call it, a bunch of people, friends around him,
oh, like
and
a entourage.
entourage. God, my
Entourage.
brain's
Yeah.
fried. Entourage, and he's had problems with assaults with women. With I mean, he's a mess, and that's a baby man. That just he came into the league immature, doesn't take care of himself. He's hurt again. He's hurt all the time. What a horrible draft pick that guy's
Yeah.
been. He has hamstrung, and they're now the worst team in the NBA. So
That's the crazy thing is like he if a player, no matter the sport, if a player has to be convinced to take care of himself and his body, then it's like that's the biggest red flag for me. I mean, we've seen guys throughout the years that have had like legal issues, they've overcome them. They've had, maybe substance abuse issues, they've been able to overcome them. But if someone is just not able to control their diet and come into camps and come into the season like fit and in shape, it almost never works out. Like Shaq is probably the only like exception to this rule because he would play himself into shape, but even he probably didn't even reach his full potential because of this. But he was just so big and so talented, and he never got hurt, unlike Zion, who's
yeah,
always hurt. And there's a 1-to-1 correlation between him not taking care of himself and these injuries. Because almost all his injuries, it's not like he's tearing his ACL. He's not like breaking his leg or something. It's like all this soft tissue stuff. Oh, he has
yeah.
a pulled adductor. Oh, he has a pulled hamstring, things like that. It's like these things happen. I mean, I'm not a kinesiologist or a physical therapist or whatever, but it's like these
Yeah.
usually happen from strain. And those strains come from when you're trying really hard to get in shape in a very short amount of time. You're overtraining, overworking your body because you haven't been working all summer. And then you show up and you're like, all right, now I got to get in shape. and then you pull your hamstring or you pull your adductor or whatever it is. And it's sad because when he's healthy, he's
Good player.
incredible,
Yeah,
incredible.
real good
He's
player.
all NBA level talent, but he can't figure it out. And at this point, he never will. I would be very, very shocked. Maybe he has like a late career when he's on a vet minimum contract and he's playing 15 minutes a game for some contender or something. But as like a main centerpiece type player, like it's over for him.
Yeah, I think the Lakers are going to poach him for cheap. You can't get anything out of him because you're going by potential, but it's been years now, and I just think the Lakers. It just screams to me, Lakers getting him. I feel sick about it. Who was the running back for? God, I'm so bad on names, especially when I'm tired. For the
To the
Green Bay
Packers,
worked that was in Alabama
yeah,
that had
Eddie
this.
Lacy,
It,
yeah.
what a great player, and he just gained weight and kept gaining weight. I don't know if that was the pure reason, but boy, he remember how dominating he
Yeah.
was. I mean,
I
he
mean, some
was
of it is mental health related, where these guys are, dealing with trauma and they use food as a
yeah,
coping mechanism. So things like that. But it seems like Zion is more about like the finer things in life. You brought up some of the troubles he's had with women, of questionable reputations and things like that. And it seems like he's more about the off court lifestyle than he is. And he got rewarded with a big contract just because of his
huge.
name and his draft. Like if his name wasn't Zion Williamson and he had this attendance record or whatever availability record, he's not getting $150 million. But because his name is Zion, he's first overall pick, all that stuff, they almost had to give him the contract just in case it
Yeah,
worked out. But yeah,
they were
he's too
stuck.
into the off court stuff, and it's a
God,
shame.
I just could not imagine being a billionaire and having my corporation rely on a 21-year-old. I
Yeah.
just That is brutal. But I wouldn't even let him drive my car, let alone, oh, it's scary. But you know what's the funny thing, too? And I was just going to say, with a lot of these athletes and a lot of them uh, with weight, and I believe with Eddie Lacy, he did have a thing where something happened with his parent. I think he was taking care of his family
Yeah.
with his,
Kelvin
so
Benjamin is
he,
another name that I think when
yeah,
his mom passed, he gained a ton of weight, stuff like that. I mean, that all right, you feel sorry for them, but if it's like a
yeah,
pattern, it's like, come on, man, you got to get this
yeah.
figured out.
And I forget who the NBA player was. It Charlie Villanueva out of UConn. I can't remember who the NBA player. And they asked him on draft night. He got drafted in the first round, and they said, "What are you thinking right now?" And he's thinking, "Well, I'm going to sign a big contract, and I know now that I'm going to be much handsome than I was yesterday. But the problem is now I'm much more handsome than I was yesterday."
Yep.
Because he was thinking, now I'm going to get all these women, I'm going to get all these gold diggers, I'm going to get all these. And he was saying, that's the thing is you got, as a young kid, you got to shy away from that. And you got to get away from that. I had a friend who played on the number one, I'm not going to name him because he would be embarrassed, but he was on the number one rated college basketball team years ago, and great player. And oh my gosh, he would go to restaurants, everything. No, he would never pay. I mean,
Oh
he
yeah.
was just the toast of the town. He played back east in a game, shredded his knee.
Mm.
He couldn't get anyone to park his car now. I mean, he said the way they treat you when you're on top is amazing, but the way they treat you when you're not there is so
Yeah.
different.
That's why
Said he
I'm not
couldn't
mad at
believe it.
the NIL money. Get it while you can. Yeah.
Get it while you can, because everybody else is, and that's for sure. Well, if any of you got NIL money, you've got our Twitter things, and where can they find you for NIL money, Khaled?
At Khaled74 on Twitter or 4040 Vision Pod, and on YouTube at youtube.com/4040 Vision Sports.
And when they search on YouTube for your podcast, what should they type in?
They should type in the 4040 Vision Podcast or 4040 Vision Sports. So either of those, they should pop up.
Khaled is a young guy, but he's very much into history of the games, and some of the things he brings up in his podcast are very interesting. I really enjoy it. I've even listened to some of his stuff twice. We're sharing it to a lot of people, and more people are checking it out. So please check it out. And then obviously for us with Florence and I, we have, in fact, we just did a press junket for a movie that's out. And we'll be releasing that tomorrow. But you could find us at the Forum Celebrity Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe and give us a shout out, and we'll give you some too. We thank all of you. Tomorrow night, Florence and I will be here with author J.L. Rothstein, and we're going to be talking some crazy stuff. Drew Brees and true crime and unsolved murder for over 40 years. So you
Cold
do
case. I
not
like
want to
it.
miss tomorrow's show. And it's going to be fun. So you guys take care. Thank you. God bless. I hope you had a great holiday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.
Thanks, guys.